How else do you destroy an entrenched opposition who has a culture of independence and non aggression? You attack them until they radicalize, and you radicalize them by telling them that everybody else is already radicalized. And once you have them convinced that everyone around them is radicalized, you pick them off one by one as they succumb to the radicalization. And when it becomes a trend of radicalization, you then build the narrative that there's some kind of cultural change or shift within that group of people that has turned them into militants or terrorists. And once they succumb to that psyop of propaganda, then it's only a mild amount of convincing to tell everybody else that it's true and it's real. And once it becomes true and real in everyone's opinion, there's nothing you can do. They'll be absolutely convinced that you're their enemy. This is what United States Special Operations does in foreign countries. That is the totality of their training. To conduct operations to turn a people against another people, to disenfranchise a group, to radicalize a group, to create a militancy, to destabilize them, to destabilize a region that would otherwise be resistant to a cartel of some sort, usually banking or an oil cartel. That is the totality of their mission. That is all they do. It is a system of targeted oppression and abuse for financial gain. If you believe that the economic hitmen were bad, what is it that you think the military is actually doing? If you don't quite understand this, start reading about everything all these tier 1 people have written about. It's in their books. They write openly about it. Now, these books have to go through a kind of board hearing. Like, it has to be reviewed by somebody to ensure that they're not leaking anything classified. Their story gets corrected. Minor details have to be shifted. Sometimes they're told to lie about something or make something up to make continuity not look so continuous, to make it look as if they were just fighting a good fight and it just got overwhelmed, or the conditions by which they were operating within were overwhelming for them, or that the mission just kept shifting chaotically and they were just trying to keep up with the militancy. If the grab of Maduro has taught you anything, it's that there are very few oppositional forces that could resist the United States Special Forces at any kind of level whatsoever. And it's been like that for 20 plus years. We had operational forces in Baghdad before Desert Storm. We had operational forces in Fallujah before the invasion of Iraq in 2003. We had pathfinders in Iraq. Special Forces qualified pathfinders in Iraq when we paratrooped troops into Iraq. None of this stuff that you are told is real. The system is designed to keep you in the dark, mislead you, and also radicalize you as well. You are just another combatant to the U.S. government. You are just another combatant to the people who are running this system. And yes, they're 100% pro-Israel. None of them are against Israel. They are all in it. So yes, if you're opposed to Israel running the United States government, you are 100% being propagandized by them. There's no doubt in your mind. You need to be aware of that. None of them are going to tell you the truth. I have known hundreds of these people who have pulled some of these missions, who do these things for this government. And I'm not anti-government. I'm not an anarchist at all. I'm 100% America first. I am definitely not on board with this subservient to a foreign nation stuff that's going on these days. Definitely not. It's a system of abuse towards Americans. And you think, oh, we should just get used to the suffering. Machiavelli tells me that you need to be used to the suffering and the targeted abuse, and only the strong survive, and everything should be all depressing. Oh, you should just never complain about anything because they'll just use it against you. Candace Owens is 100% correct. You should be mad about it. It's not wrong for you to be upset about it. That's the normal reaction. A normal, well-adjusted society would be outraged. A normal, adjusted society would have had a 10 million man march on Washington, D.C. the day that Donald Trump decided to bomb Iran without congressional approval. The day that the federal government decided to abandon the veterans. And ignore their sacrifice. There's no way to win in a system ran by a foreign country when you live in your own country. If you don't understand what it means to be subservient to a foreign country, go ask what's going on in Europe right now. Go look at Europe. Europe is not in charge of anything. The individual country, Bulgaria itself, let's examine Bulgaria or Hungary. Neither of these countries has any authority over what goes on in their own border. Hungary decided to tell the EU that they don't want to take any illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants over there are Africans that just won't stay out of your country. Or Middle Easterners that just want to walk around and do whatever the heck they want. So Bulgaria and Hungary both decide to say, we don't want any illegal immigrants. No, thank you. And the EU threatened Hungary. They threatened them. They said they were going to sanction them for not taking in illegal immigrants. Then they said they were going to sue them because the agreement the EU put forth was a demand that Hungary send troops, money, and arms to the Ukraine in exchange for not taking in illegal immigrants. If you don't know anything about the EU is just the Eurozone. That's all it is. It's an economic zone. It is a banking system with a trade agreement. They're not a formal government. They have zero authority over the border of NATO. They're not a member of NATO. Do you understand? The EU is not a NATO member state. There's no mutual defense pact with the EU. It's just a trade agreement. Now, the number one opposition to the EU is NATO. All the NATO member states are opposed to the EU. So now you can understand why a bunch of bankers that want to run Europe exclusively, they want to federalize and run Europe exclusively and then control the border to mitigate any kind of nationalistic resistance to a imperial rule by a banking system. That is why we see the bankers and the banker elite and the representatives of the bankers within Washington, D.C. today, which includes the president and the vice president, so openly and vehemently opposed to NATO now. Their backers, their sponsors, their donors are all bankers. Larry Fink's arm is in Donald Trump's keister up to his shoulders. If Trump sneezes, he's going to tear Larry Fink's rotator cuff. It's going to tear it right open. Then Larry Fink won't be able to put his arm up anymore in class and ask me any more questions. Now, the conversation will end at this point with Larry Fink because I told you once what I thought of you, and that's it. Astrophysics? You stopped at astrophysics and then decided to become a banker? You just didn't want anybody to know that you need to know how to do what? Mathematics? Clever boy, eh? I guess if the only thing you're good at is mathematics, that's the only field you could go into is banking, right? But now you understand that the EU belongs to the World Bank and IMF. I've made a TikTok video on this previously if you need to actually know anything about this. But now the conversation can focus on why are they opposed to NATO? NATO is a North Atlantic Treaty Organization that defends Europe from invasion from Middle East, Russia, China, Africa. It's a defensive pact that defends Europe from attacks from Iran or any other country like China or Russia. The only reason the bankers would be opposed to NATO running Europe and the United States as an agreement would be because they wanted to make money off the situation by initiating a conflict and a war. This is the only reason any banking system in the West would want to remove NATO from the equation so that they could get away with invading Europe with a military without the United States getting involved. This is the conversation that's being had right now. They want to plan it, they want to arrange it so that NATO naturally falls apart because they want to cause so much aggravation within NATO that its individual member states decide to leave the agreement. That's the only reason the conversation exists, is to agitate everyone. The conversation about Greenland with Denmark. To agitate NATO. The whole reason Nigel Farage is picking foreigners to run the UK, to agitate NATO. Nigel Farage is not a friend of liberty. He is not a friend of us on the right or in the conservative movement. He is not a Christian. He plays one on TV. He is not. He is not one of our friends. We have spoken to him in the past when UKIP was a thing. He is 100% a materialistic atheist. He does whatever you pay him to do. He is essentially a banker. He's a banker stooge. He has never been loyal. Never trust a word that comes out of that man's mouth. Because he will tell you he's your best friend today and then molest your child tomorrow. I'm sorry. Let someone molest your child tomorrow. Because that's how the British elite are. Your children are property and a commodity for them to expend. That's how the British elite see you if you're not a member. I know this because they did this stuff to me. I am actually a member of one of the Lords' houses in Europe, in England as well. I was treated by the British royal family like absolute garbage. I have no respect for that island. There is nobody on that island I have any respect for. Nobody. There's no one on that island. Do you understand? There's nobody on that island. There are no people there. They're just actors. Not a single person there is being serious or honest. That is literally the empire of lies. That is the heart of the empire of lies. It was actually banned to speak the truth to the king in that country 300 years ago. That law has never been removed. It is literally illegal to speak the truth in the country of England. Why would anybody want to go there? I don't understand why anybody would want to set foot on that island or interact with any of its people. Its people are terrible. They let stuff like that go along and they're okay with being prostituted. Meanwhile, all that money goes back to Mumbai and New Delhi and whatever other countries are over there of the people that run the governments. The name doesn't mean anything. The religion doesn't mean anything. That's who those people are. But back to the EU NATO confession. The EU does not want NATO because the EU wants to capitalize, market, and sell the bloodlines and genetics of Europe to the bankers who view us as, how'd they put it? Idol worshippers. We are a commodity to be expended. We are as livestock. No, thank you.